Nothing like a slice of warm homemade soda bread. Oh my gosh, I've loaded mine up with raisins. It is incredibly delicious. I know you're going to love this recipe. This classic Irish soda bread, also known as brown bread in Ireland, uses baking soda as the leavening agent. There are only a few ingredients, which makes it so awesome. It comes together in no time. This is definitely a must make. First, let's knock out a little prep. Sound good? Let's bake. We're going to start off by sifting some flours together. I've got some all-purpose flour, and sometimes it's easier to scoop it in using a cup instead of dumping the whole bowl in there and then flour going all over the countertop. The next thing I'm going to do is add in some whole wheat flour. You could do equal parts flour to whole wheat flour. I'm using a 3-to-1 ratio. Next, add in some baking soda, also known as sodium bicarbonate. This is going to help leaven our bread. And then sift all of these things together. It's important to do this because there can be chunks in baking soda as well as your flour. You want to make sure you remove all of those. And because I use sea salt, I add it at the end because there's no way it's going to make it through the sifter. And then go ahead and grab a whisk and take the time to mix this until completely combined. Get all of those ingredients moving around. Once it is whisked, just set the whisk to the side and form a well right in the center. I'm going to start by adding in some cold buttermilk. Traditionally, sour milk would have been used in this recipe. Pour it right there into the center of the well. And then for a little bit of fat and a little bit of color, I'm just going to add in 1 egg. Next, go ahead and grab a whisk, and it's kind of like making pasta when I tell you to make that well in the center and whisk your eggs. Just whisk the egg until it is completely mixed into the buttermilk. Once it is there, at this point, one of my favorite things to add into Irish soda bread are raisins. Let me stop really quick before we mix everything and say you could sub out the raisins for currants. You could also add caraway seeds. You could put a combination together or just use one of those things. That would be very classic in an Irish soda bread. Now here's what we do. Roll up those sleeves, my friends, because we are going in. What we want to do is completely combine everything together. I just like to use my hands. I like to know how things feel to make sure there's no lumps, things that haven't been mixed together. Yes, you could absolutely use a bread spoon to mix all of it, but I just love doing it with hands. There's something old school and rustic about it. So once all of the ingredients are combined, it's not going to be too wet, it's not going to be too dry, it's going to be nice and soft. It's perfect. So what we're going to do is sprinkle some flour on a clean surface and then roll that dough right on over top. Looks absolutely fantastic. And then what you want to do is sort of make this cupping motion by pinching the bottom using the outside of your hands and then pushing it up to sort of make this perfect little ball just like this. This is excellent. It's exactly what you want to do. Don't worry if there's holes or anything weird in the top of your bread. This is how it's supposed to look. We're going to transfer it onto a cookie sheet tray lined with parchment paper and then gently push it down. I don't like to push it down too far because I like this bread to stand up and get a nice spring while in the oven. Now for the very important part, grab a very sharp chef knife and then slice down in the center about 3/4 to 1 inch. I know that's pretty deep. Then turn the knife and do it to the other side. Go about, again, 3/4 to 1 inch deep. And then just try to spread those slices apart just like you see here. This is excellent. Okay, so I know I'm gonna get hit by this one, but I really like to finish off soda bread with some turbinado sugar or some really coarse sugar on the top. You've got the salt in the bread. This is just a little bit of sweetness to sort of provide that nice balance of flavor. You do not have to put sugar on the top. It is definitely not traditional. I just like the flavor it adds. It's just me. I promise if you do it though, you're probably gonna like it. Here's what we do now. Sprinkle your turbinado sugar or coarse sugar if you choose. Like I said, I love it. That's totally my choice. I'm going to take this pan. We are going over to the oven on 375 degrees, and it's going to take in between 35 and 40 minutes for this to completely finish cooking. Once it is done, we are going to pull it out of the oven, and you can see how amazing it looks. You got that perfect brown, crunchy outside. We're going to cool it down so that it's perfectly tender in the middle. And it smells like a bakery in here. So good. And the hardest part, of course, when baking any bread is the waiting game. So to my comies, to all my chefs in training, my junior chefs out there, I tell you every single week, it's about understanding the fundamental basic techniques of all cookery and even baking, knowing how to make a proper soda bread. It's few ingredients, understanding that the baking soda is the leavening agent. You don't need baking powder or yeast. You put all of these little things into your everyday cooking. My promise to you is everything's going to taste better. And I always say homemade food from scratch always tastes better. You know what's in it. You are going to be the new restaurant on the block, my friends. Now, let's plate up in slow-mo. There's really nothing else you can do other than slice it, so be sure to use a serrated knife and slice this bread up. You can see it's an incredibly dense bread. It's a heavy bread. It's meant to stick to your bones and fill you up, and the raisins and the sugar, oh my goodness, so good. And man, oh man, check out this beauty. My promise to you is this is so incredibly easy to make and so delicious. We're talking from start to finish, including mixing the ingredients and baking it in under 50 minutes. Where else can you get a homemade bread like that? Nowhere. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, like and share this video. Check out this video right here. I made it just for you all. You'll love it. See you on there.